Good evening. Welcome to all of you to our live stream event here at St. Aloysius Church. Ever since the summer months passed, I've wanted so very much to be able to have an opportunity to share with all of you what's been happening here in our parish and some of our plans for the future. We thought this would be a great forum here tonight to do it using our wonderful new live stream system. Goes without saying that we've all been through so much over the last 6 months, and in many ways, we're all still trying to deal with the changes that are happening all around us so quickly. With everybody's help and support, we've come so far, and I'm excited for us to be able to share some information with you here this evening. We've all been working very hard to make our church a safe place for all of us to be able to gather. And we've tried to stay connected with you all, both in person when we can do that, and also through social media, as we're doing here this evening. If you have not yet signed up for Flock Notes, we've learned during the pandemic how important it is for us to stay connected through means like that. All you need to do is to go onto our website and put in there your phone number or your email, and you'll get alerts from the parish when there's important things happening that we want you to know about. As pastor, I'm personally so very grateful to all of you, the people of St. Aloysius Parish, for all of your support in so many ways. Throughout our evening here together, you'll have the opportunity to send us questions virtually, and at the end of our brief presentation, we'll entertain as many of those questions as we're able to handle. At this time, I'd like to introduce Tony Riolo, who's a member of our pastoral council, who's going to share with us some of his own reflections during this time. Tony.
Thank you, Monsignor, for inviting me on this panel, and good evening. I want to speak today why my wife Kay and I came back to Mass. Kay and I take COVID very, very seriously. We don't engage in any new activities until we're comfortable and convinced that we can protect ourselves and the environment that we're entering into is also safe. We stayed away from Mass since it reopened because we had three main concerns. We didn't know who was cleaning the church. We didn't know how well they were trained. Communion is given out hand to hand, and the church is indoors. Over the past few weeks, however, Kay and I have had a longing to come back, to receive communion, and to be among our fellow parishioners. So we did our research. We came to a couple of daily Masses just to see how things work. We were pleasantly surprised to see how well organized the church is to maximize social distancing. We also discovered that there are hand sanitizers, automatic hand sanitizers, at the entrances and exits to the church, and that our parish has purchased an electrostatic hand sanitizer so that we can sanitize the church and the pews after Mass. Then we went another step and we asked a friend of ours who attends Mass regularly how she feels about things and why she came back. And she said she protects herself, and she suggested to us that we bring our own disinfectant, our own hand sanitizers, so that we can sanitize the pew area that we're in, as well as sanitize our hands before and after receiving communion. We now feel comfortable that we can protect ourselves and stay safe, and that the parish staff has taken the steps that are needed to keep us safe. We concluded that attending Mass is actually safer than going to the grocery store, which is also indoors. And it's also safer than having in-person meetings or visits, if you will, with our friends and family. We started coming back to Mass on Sunday, September 20th. We watch Mass on YouTube every day. And for us, it just wasn't fulfilling. We wanted to receive communion. We wanted to be in the presence with our fellow parishioners. We missed everybody. As an added bonus to coming back to Mass, not only were we able to receive communion and be in the presence of our Lord in his house, but when we left Mass that day, we felt lighter and we felt happier because we were able to reconnect with people that we've been with for 25 years but haven't seen in 6 months. So I'd like you to listen to what I had to say, and hopefully, listening to our journey to get back, our story to get back, that you might mitigate your concerns and also return to church. We miss you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Tony. This time I'm happy to introduce Susan Mello, who is actually one of our brand new members of our Parish Finance Council. And Susan's going to share some of her own reflections with you from her perspective.
Thank you, Monsignor. So, good evening, everyone. As Father said, my name is Susan Mello, and many, if not all of you, may not recognize me. I've been a member of the parish for about 5 years, although I've been attending Mass here for longer than that. I am a resident of Essex Fells. I moved here about 14 years ago. I'm not married. I don't have any children, so people wouldn't know me through school or anything like that. I did grow up in a very large Italian Catholic family with 8 brothers and sisters. We grew up in Orange, New Jersey, so I've not moved very far, and my family's still in the area. I pretty faithfully attended 7:30 a.m. Mass before the pandemic, and I really appreciated the sense of community when I felt like I became a regular at 7:30 Mass. I sat in the same pew, so back on the left-hand side, towards the back of the church, and I was surrounded by my fellow parishioners, many of whom are regular attendees at the 7:30 a.m. 7:30 Mass. Some I know by name, others only by face, but it made me feel part of a community to see many of the same people every week, and I really appreciated that, especially the longer I attended Mass. So about a year ago, my friend Sharon Morrissey, Sharon and Tom have been longtime members of the parish and grew up here in Caldwell, or Sharon did. About a year ago, my friend Sharon, as is usual for her, we're runners, and she told me, Susan, I gave Father Emery your name and recommended that he call you about the Finance Council. So I started laughing and I said, okay, that's fine. And I have a background in investments from my job, and I also chair the finance committee at St. Elizabeth's College over in Convent Station, and I'm on the board of trustees. So I have some experience. Monsignor Emery called me maybe a month ago, so after a year had gone by, called me about a month ago and said, I've had your name for a year. Sharon gave it to me, but there wasn't an opportunity. But would you like to join the Finance Council? And by the way, I don't really know who you are. Could you come over and meet with me? And I willingly said yes, given my desire. I've been saying that I'd like to get more involved in the parish and in the parish community beyond just attending Mass. So this was an opportunity for me. And frankly, in the month that since Father has called, I actually feel warmly embraced into the parish, and I really appreciate that. So that's all, my introduction, and then I want to talk a little bit about the Finance Council, because it was interesting about what I quickly learned after I had some conversations with Monsignor, as well as reviewing the materials for the Finance Council meeting and attending the first meeting that we had. Okay, so despite the fact that I am sophisticated in finance, to be honest, and it sounds silly, but I really hadn't thought about the parish from a financial perspective the same way I think about any other organization in terms of revenues and expenses, right? This is church. Who thinks about revenue and expenses? It's a nonprofit. So, I didn't spend much time thinking about it, even though I realize at some level the church needs to support itself. In spite of seeing the weekly update in our bulletin about our collected revenues versus our budget, and sometimes we're ahead and sometimes we're behind, it still didn't really dawn on me the way I think about finance for any other organization until I joined the Finance Council. And, it seemed it seems mundane, but there's a very real aspect of budgeting for the church that I didn't, as I've said now numerous times, I didn't really appreciate. And the thing that I quickly realized as well is the need to have a consistent source of revenue because our expenses are consistent. We have fixed expenses in terms of lay salaries, pensions for the priests, we have heat, we have electricity, and these are all being incurred day in and day out, regardless of what our revenues. And again, it really never occurred to me to think about what happens when our expenses exceed our revenues, even though this is budgeting 101, right? You don't think about that with the church. It's like, it's the church, it's all fine. So anyway, anyone who does a personal budget knows that it's unsustainable to operate at a deficit over any extended period of time. And so, I've been here a month and I'm like, holy cow, this is such a different perspective for me. Anyway, this realization also made me reflect on my own behavior. So I grew up Catholic, I've said that. I've been going for church for years, and I'll be honest, I put that envelope in the collection every week. I get the envelopes, I like getting the envelopes, it has my name on it, I come to church, it's just this kind of traditional historic action of putting my offering in the basket. I'm also going to say, sheepishly admit that when I attend Mass somewhere else on a Sunday, I put the offering in there, and I actually don't think about putting this, my offering into St. Al's because I put my offering in to church, and really didn't think about my almost obligation. I don't want people to feel like it's too much of an obligation, but my commitment to St. Al's. I put my offering in, I go to church down in Toms River when I meet my mother, and so really didn't think about here. So in the very short time I've been on the Finance Council, it's actually changed years and years of thinking for me. I realize I need to treat St. Al's the same way I treat any other organization from which I receive, ongoing services. I need to be consistent in my giving. And even when it comes to online giving, I've seen it, I've resisted, but I've started thinking I need to be less resistant. After all, I pay my PSE&G bill and my Verizon bill online every month. I don't even see what they charge me. And I would hazard a guess that I actually get more from St. Al's than I get from Verizon. So it really has been an eye-opener for me. I just wanted to share this with everyone as someone with a recently enlightened perspective on our parish finances. So, I'm new to this, I'm new to the Finance Council, but I would urge you all to think about your commitment to St. Al's. We're not asking anyone to increase their commitment, but also think about the consistency of the commitment to St. Al's. And then one other thing, I just want to echo what Tony has said about returning to church. And I know it's difficult when deciding what's right for each individual, but I urge everyone to stay as connected as you can to the parish, whether it's coming to Mass and/or connecting in other ways. I encourage you to share your ideas, questions, and comments about how we can stay connected as a faithful community. I know unfortunately, maybe for Monsignor Anne-Marie and Father JJ, I don't know if they knew what they were getting themselves into when they asked me to join the parish council or the finance council, because some were already like, maybe we should do this and maybe we should do that. So, but they've been very encouraging around offering ideas. And so I thank you all. I thank you for including me tonight. And for everyone in the parish that's watching, I appreciate being a member of the community. So thanks very much.
Thank you, Susan. I appreciate that. As Susan said, I waited a year before inviting her onto the council because we didn't have any openings at the time. Everybody has terms, but it was well worth the wait, Susan, because you have so many wonderful ideas and bring such a new perspective to the council. One of the things that came up at our last Finance Council meeting was how important it is for people to keep up, as Susan said, their level of giving. We had such a wonderful increased offertory appeal, you remember, last fall. And unfortunately, due to the pandemic, we've seen a decline. And those of you who follow in the bulletin will see that our Sunday collections are running about $30,000 behind budget from July 1st till now. So obviously, we just want everybody to do the best that they can to keep their level of commitment going. And those who are not signed up for the electronic online parish giving, which I do myself, this is a great time to sign up for that so that it does happen automatically. So even when you are traveling, like Susan does a lot with her work, that the parish is still receiving your commitment, your stewardship, your sacrifice to help us continue our mission here. So we're grateful. At this time, I'd like to invite Father JJ to share some of his own thoughts and reflections on the reopening.
Thank you, Monsignor. And just so that you guys know why it's important to volunteer for the church and to bring your new perspectives in, I don't know if we mentioned it already, but this event, in a way, is Susan's brainchild, who came up to us and approached us with this idea that, why don't we do this? And I hadn't thought about it. Monsignor hadn't thought about it. So just to show you what, first of all, listening can do and bringing new people in, new blood with ideas. So thank you, Susan, very much. I'm sure that you appreciate it as well. If you recall, my first year in the parish, around March or so, we enter Lent, and right before Holy Week, our pastor at the time, Monsignor Desmond, gets sick, and he's in the hospital. And there I find myself, newly ordained priest, and I have to pretty much run the Easter Vigil and the Triduum with some help from my fellow parochial vicar at that time. But it was a daunting task. And so many people reached out to me and were encouraging. And I remember on the Easter Vigil, as things were going on, I was by the baptismal font doing my first baptisms and confirmations. And I realized when I was down there that I had forgotten towels, I had forgotten the oils. I'm like, and I had spent the whole day planning this thing, and I realized that I forgot pretty much main things that I should have thought about. But can't blame me. I just, my first year doing this. I say this because, as you know, COVID-19 has been a new experience for all of us. We're all trying to figure it out. When I entered the seminary, when I became a priest, I was not expecting this, as I'm sure you were not expecting this. And so all of us are trying to kind of figure things out as we go. For me as a priest, trying to figure out how to minister to people, it's been challenging, how to invite people in. But at the same time, we are getting all these improvements for live streaming. So in a way, we're telling you to check it out from home. But at the same time, we want you here. But at the same time, we want you to be a part. There's all these different things that are going on that are difficult to handle. And so I invite everyone to, first of all, to think in terms of gratitude. Susan was mentioning, that the finances of the parish. For me personally, when I see people bringing envelopes weeks after weeks through the mail slot, it's amazing. I tell Monsignor all the time, this is incredible how generous people are during a pandemic, that they're coming and supporting the parish still. So we are so grateful that you're doing that. And at the same time, I ask for that same gratitude when it comes to what we as a parish are trying to do. A lot of people have approached me and have approached the other priests complaining about the things that we don't have. And, why don't we have this mass and that mass and that mass? Why don't we have novena? Why don't we have this and that? Why is the church not open all the time? And I'm thinking, do you realize that we are doing some things, that we are trying to figure it out, that we are trying to offer some things? And I think that we should be, first of all, be grateful for the things that we are getting, the fact that some of us are being able to come and receive the Eucharist, that some things are being done through Zoom or whatever it may be, but we're trying to figure it out, and I hope that all of us are grateful for the things that are happening. That being said, as you know, we do have daily mass at 8 a.m., but before we used to have 3 masses. As you know, things are different right now. We are trying to bring back another mass during the week, and we want to make sure that the people who cannot come and who want to come the most number of people get a chance to do that. And so for those of you who are home watching, if you haven't been to Mass and you think that the 6:45 is the Mass that you can come to, just leave us a little message there. Jackie Allworth is checking that at the moment. And if it's 12 o'clock, noon during the week, then do that as well. Let us know which Mass you would be willing to come back, because what we're trying to do is to make sure that people have an encounter with the Lord. As Tony said, I want to receive the Eucharist. We want to make sure that people receive the Eucharist. But we want as many people as possible to do it. I know that some people are adamant about one particular Mass and some about others, but as we try to figure things out, we want to make sure that we do it safely, that we do it in a manner that's responsible. So for the moment, we're thinking of bringing back another Mass during the week. And so those of you who are watching live, or those of you who are going to watch later on, if you have a preference to which Mass you would like to go, please let us know. And again, know that I'm so happy to see so many people here during the week and on Sundays. And for those who haven't been back yet, we do miss you, and we want to make sure that you come back when you're ready and when you feel comfortable, like Kay and Tony. It took a while, but they're back. And for those of you who cannot come out, don't rush. Come back when you feel comfortable, and be part of the community and receive the Lord Jesus Christ.
Thank you, Father JJ. At this time, we're going to see if we have any questions. So let me pass this on. If we have any questions for you folks, I'll just pass this mic to you, or you could use that if you wish. So Jackie, do you have any questions that have come in?
Monsignor Emery, I just wanted to let you know that we have 2 votes for noon Mass in our chat.
Okay, 2 people, I guess, have weighed in for noon Mass. Okay.
And then secondly, a question here, are Eucharistic ministers or priests bringing communion to the homebound?
So are Eucharistic ministers or priests bringing communion to the homebound? Yes, the answer is yes. I just did it today, in fact. So if we get a call, some of our lay Eucharistic ministers have been comfortable bringing communion to the homebound and have been doing that. And if people call and want to see a priest, we have all been doing that. As I said, I just did it today. So the answer is yes.
Another question, Monsignor. When are we going to bring back 7 p.m. Sunday evening Mass?
When are we going to bring back the Sunday night 7 p.m. Mass? I don't know, but we certainly do hope to have it back as soon as possible. Right now, we're basically monitoring the attendance at the Masses we do have, and for the most part, the attendance at those Masses has been somewhat flat and consistent. We're not seeing a whole lot of growth, but as soon as we see that there really is a desire for more people to begin to come back and ready to come back, we'll certainly be adding Masses. Right now, we're still on our abbreviated summer Mass schedule, on Sunday mornings with only 3 Masses. We'll certainly go back to having 4 Masses eventually, hopefully soon. And the same thing for this Sunday night Masses. As soon as we're getting the sense that more people are ready to come back. Some of you may remember we did try the 7 p.m. Mass for the first 3 Sundays when we came back in late June and early July, and the attendance was very low, which is why we discontinued it. But we certainly hope to bring it back as soon as possible.
Next question. What is the impact of the school closing on parish finances?
Well, do you want me to take that, or do you want to do it, Susan? We're going to give Susan a shot from her first Finance Council meeting, because we talked about this, right? It's a little quiz.
So if I say anything or you need anything to add, Father, please do. I, again, being new to the Finance Council, was not really aware of the school and whether it added or didn't add. I think it actually increases our costs of, Father, am I right when I say about $70,000 a year? So before, the school was pretty self-sufficient. We didn't really have to worry about supporting it financially. Am I correct in that?
It was not self-sufficient. The Archdiocese was supporting it about $250,000.
Okay.
But we in the parish
So
were
the
not.
parish did not have to support it. So it's an added cost, frankly, as well as some of the things we have to do to sanitize the church, and buying all of the hand sanitizers were not part of our budget. So a couple of unexpected things there.
Thank you, Susan. You got an A+ from our last Finance Council meeting. Any other questions, Jackie?
Yes, another question. Should we somehow update the church sign out front to reflect the current Mass times?
Should we update the sign outside to reflect the current Mass times? I mean, my personal thought is that I don't want to be changing that sign until we really know what's going to happen in the future. As I said earlier, my hope is we'll go back to our regular Mass schedule sooner rather than later. So for now, I don't see us changing the sign. I suppose if this was going to go on for a long time, with the limited schedule, maybe we could talk about a temporary sign for people. I do see where perhaps people driving by could be confused by it. So I'll give some thought to that and talk with the staff about it. Thank you.
That's all I have, except for one more vote for noon and one vote for 6:45. Wait, a question just came in. Should the priest be wearing a mask during the Eucharistic prayer since they are praying over the Eucharist?
You want to do it for the JJ?
Well, that depends actually who's saying the Mass. Father Tom always wears a mask when he does it. I either cover the host that the people are going to receive or put it far in front of me so that there's no, talking over it. So personally, I don't use it because the only host that I have, I consume myself, and the precious blood I consume myself, and the hosts for the people are far from me or covered up. That's for me, I don't know then, but I do see the value in, us not spitting over the host. That's but
Yeah, I think too, if I recall, Father JJ, the guidelines we received from the Archdiocese as priests told us that we did not need to wear a mask while we were celebrating Mass as long as we were social distanced from the people. So that's why when you see us up here, we don't have a mask on during the Mass, but when we come down for communion, of course, we do. Or if there was a congregation here and I was preaching down close to the pews like I'm standing right now, I would have a mask on. So certainly I would say we're not required by our guidelines to do it, but I would agree. I think Father Tom prefers to wear a mask, and I think that's certainly a preference a priest might have.
yeah, but I see the point that they're trying to make in terms of like during the Eucharistic prayer, not the rest of the Mass, but when the hosts for the people are in front of us, if we are speaking into it, kind of particles come out. So I get that, and that's why personally I move it to the side. If the person has any recommendations, or I guess they can continue to send another message there, but that's
right. And as I said, I think what we've been trying to do is just be faithful to the guidelines that we've received from Cardinal Tobin and from the Archdiocese. And certainly any of us might have an opinion about those guidelines one way or the other, but we've just tried to be faithful to those guidelines, I think, to the extent possible. Thank you, Father JJ.
Next question. I would love to come back to Mass. However, I have concerns about receiving communion and the transmission of the virus. Is communion still being placed on the tongue of those requesting it?
Jackie, do I need to repeat these questions, or can the folks at home hear you?
They can hear me.
They hear you, okay. I've been repeating the questions, not realizing they can hear Jackie. Okay, thanks. Right, so the answer is communion is not allowed on the tongue. Again, that came from the Archdiocese. I believe it's pretty consistent, certainly around the country and perhaps around the world even right now. I believe it's still the case in most places. So the answer is no, communion is only allowed in the hand. and we only give it in the hand. We've had people ask for it on the tongue, and we say no, in the hands only.
Okay, are any plans to have some talks on Zoom? Something along the lines of what Sister Honora did in the church last year?
So for Advent, I've been talking to Father Tom, Deacon Raj, trying to do something along those lines. We were hoping to actually do a hybrid and invite people to come to church and sit here the same way that they would for Mass. And then since we now have the capabilities to do it online as well, we could do both. Those who feel comfortable can come. Those who wish to stay there can stay home. But we do want to do something for Advent, just to, give some sense of normality to us and some spiritual strengthening. As an aside, first Saturday Masses, 8 a.m. We have those who wish to consecrate themselves to Our Lady can come on first Saturdays. Most daily Masses, at least as long as we have the one daily Mass, after the Mass we have adoration and the Rosary, Monday through Thursday. And as an aside, next month I'm hoping to do something for the young people there. We're probably going to have an event in the back, a little fire, and just to get kids out here to be with other friends, Catholic friends from the parish. So be on the lookout for that if you have teenagers and you feel comfortable. We're probably going to have something next month. We're not having youth group right now because obviously the space that we have is not conducive to social distancing at all. But hopefully we can do maybe monthly events in an environment where we can be able to socially distance and do things that are conducive to good health and all of that good stuff.
Thank you, Father JJ. As a staff and as a pastoral council too, I can add, we've really been brainstorming, if you will, ways that we can become more creative and find ways to continue to serve the parish community with the challenges and the restrictions that are in place. So as Father JJ said, there may be some things that we offer in person with social distancing and masks, just like we have at Mass. And there may be other things that are exclusively done virtually, or perhaps a hybrid kind of thing where we could be here with some people and then also live streaming now that we have the ability to do that. So we are really trying to think in more creative ways because that's really what these times require from all of us, where we can't just kind of do business as usual. We need to find ways to continue to minister, to fulfill our mission as a parish, if you will, with sort of some challenging restrictions around us. So we're really working hard on that as a staff, as a pastoral council. And as always, we're always open to your input, your feedback. If you have some suggestions, we're always open to that. So thank you.
If the school facility is closed, what is costing $70,000 per year? And are there any plans to address that? It's been rumored that West Caldwell schools may be interested in the space.
I'm sorry, I missed the beginning, Jackie. Was it about a rental?
What's making up the $70,000 a year in expenses at the school?
Oh, okay. To maintain, yes, I know. It sounds crazy, doesn't it? I was shocked when I heard from our accountant that was the number. Unfortunately, even with the building empty right now, because of religious ed even being remote, just to maintain property insurance, liability insurance, basic utilities, other expenses just to keeping the building going. We still have the broadband Wi-Fi going because we know we're going to need it, hopefully soon. So there's just expenses, things even like snow removal. The school used to pay half of that. Now it's going to fall all on us. Waste disposal. Again, the school paid a good portion of that. So there's just a lot of expenses like that that are just fixed costs, even with an empty building, unfortunately. Of course, yes, we do have, we hope that we'll rent that building out. That's our hope as a parish staff and a parish community. We certainly don't want that building to stay empty. It's going to continue to be used, of course, for parish functions, religious ed, We have close to 600 children in religious ed, so we certainly need the space for that. And just other parish events and social functions in the auditorium and the cafeteria. But needless to say, we hope to rent the building out. And I think there was part of that, it was about the West Caldwell, Caldwell Public Schools. Yep. Yes, so I think I'm free to share that the Board of Ed for Caldwell, West Caldwell, has expressed some interest. They've come to look at least once, and we've had some communication. But because they were really so focused on the opening for this September with all that's going on, they needed to kind of table that a little bit. So I just heard very recently that there are plans in October to continue the conversation with us, perhaps with a bit of a committee on their end. So we're in conversation, I guess is all we can say. And it's really too soon to know if it'll work out or not to have a rental of the building with the Board of Ed.
That's all I have.
Okay. Good. I think we're good. Once again, I just want to say thank you to all of you for joining us at home this evening, whether you're watching us live or perhaps you're going to see this later tonight or in the days ahead. It's my hope, certainly, that this evening has just helped you to get a greater sense of what's happening here in the parish. First of all, to remind you that we're here, we're open, and we're doing our very best to continue to serve you and continue our mission as a parish. So I hope it's been somewhat helpful and informative to you. For those of you who are not yet coming to Mass, please know that our faith community is not complete without you. We feel your absence. And I venture to say that in some way, your life is probably not complete without your faith community. So know that we're all praying for you while you're at home still. Know that we miss you very much, and we all look forward to that day when we'll be able to celebrate here together in person as a parish family. Once again, thank you for joining us. Thank you to our panel. Stay well, and God bless you.